Hey guys, Darth Gloric here, back with another random video. So welcome to the Age of the Ring mod for the Battle for Middle-earth 2. So this mod is incredible. So I thought we would take a few minutes today and talk about this amazing mod. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because you should basically be expecting random battles to occasionally appear on the channel, just like we've been doing on and off for years. We were doing Rise of the Witch King battles, but I think you should be loosely expecting more random battles to be appearing. However, they'll be Age of the Ring. I kind of expect this to be my go-to Battle for Middle-earth game for the foreseeable future. And so, because of that, I kind of thought I would run through the basic things about this mod, because before this, yesterday actually, or no, maybe it was 2 days ago now, I recorded a random battle in this game, and which you will be seeing at some point after this video, as will be the actual battle. Now, in the beginning of that battle, I felt the need to go through some basic things about the mod. I did it really fast, because the point of the video was not supposed to be going through the mod, and the point of the video was the random battle. So in hindsight, I was like, you know, I don't love that section in the beginning of that random battle about talking about the mod and talking about all the cool things that this mod does. And I thought, you know, if I made a separate, fairly short video about what the mod is like and what the mod does, then it would be a cleaner battle. It would be a cleaner video for that battle. And so that is why we are here making a separate video. And to help get the word out about this amazing mod. So the mod is basically a revamp of Battle for Middle-earth 2. They have redone a lot of things. So there is a story. I don't know if it's. I mean, it does say battle, so I'm assuming it's just one mission. But this is the Battle of Moria from the Hobbit movies, and of course they're originally from the Hobbit book, obviously, and from the lore of Lord of the Rings. But there is a campaign version, like a battle version. It's very, very difficult. I've tried to pass it a couple of times, and both times I failed. Now I'm better at the game now than I was then, so maybe I could do it now, but it's very difficult. And then they have a campaign about the War of the Ring, and so I did the intro one, and I started the second one and saved it. And so I don't know about how well that is. They have revamped War of the Ring, and I have not checked this out yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we checked this out on the channel. I did one War of the Ring. I did 2 parts a lot of years ago on Rise of the Witch King, and it was a slaughter. It was very one-sided, did not go very well, and it wasn't very good videos, to be honest. And so I would not be surprised at all if we return to War of the Ring at some point, but supposedly the mod has revamped War of the Ring, and at some point I do definitely want to check that out. And as far as other things that the mod did, so for one, they added a truck ton of new maps. There are a lot of new maps, as you can see. Now, the map number you're probably fairly used to because the patch that we had on Age of the Ring, or not Age of the Ring, the patch that we had for Rise of the Witch King was very different. And that patch added a boatload of maps, so you're probably kind of used to that. Now, they've kind of labeled things, which is really nice. Fortresses are labeled now in the beginning, and they are sorted by the amount of players, as you probably would assume. There's a lot of fortresses. The new map type, and this is very fascinating, is besiege. So besiege maps are very interesting because, so as you can see from this map is a great example, this is a fortress. This is a fortress. The fortress will have another AI in it, and that AI will be building units. They'll use powers. They'll attack you. They'll mostly defend their fortress, but they will attack you and kind of leave troops on the map, and they'll attack people and use powers, and it's very fascinating. But it gives it a very unique dynamic to battles, because then the AI that's in the fortresses are gonna be keeping the other AIs a little bit busy, and so it's actually kind of nice. The besieges are so far my favorite map type so far. They have changed how regular fortress battles work, and I am not a massive fan of this. So the original Battle for Middle-earth, if memory serves, when you were constructing buildings, maybe that's an easier way to say it, If memory serves, they were slots. Like they were like maybe not for every map, but maybe for fortresses. They were like, if memory serves, because I haven't played that's the original since I was a kid. So but they were building slots, and then you could choose like what to build. Well, they kind of brought that back for some reason. So fortresses are building slots, and I personally don't love it a whole lot because the slots are often hard to see, and they are very limiting on what you're allowed to build, and how well you can defend the fortress is often very not good. And so far, I have had very little luck in actually passing the sieges when you will win the fortress maps when you're in the fortress, because it's not a regular fortress. You know, you have specific building slots. You do not have access to workers, and so it's just very difficult. Now, maybe it's a balancing thing, or I'm just not sure why they did that way. And admittedly, I don't love it. So the fortresses have kind of taken a step back, but a lot of other things are very great. There is more races now, which we'll go over in a second. And there's lots of new units. There's new heroes. There's a lot more stuff from the books and the lore. A lot of things are like, for instance, if you grab Erebor, a lot of the dwarves are going to be written in Dwarven. So it's like the Dwarven language. The units are labeled in Dwarven. So luckily with the tooltips, you can know who's who. They'll tell you like elite Dwarven infantry, elite Dwarven spearmen, elite Dwarven archers, and you're like, oh, okay, because they're all written in dwarf, and so you're like, I don't speak dwarf, I don't know. Anyway, and so it's very interesting. There's lots of new heroes and lots of good stuff. So as far as the factions go, a lot of factions have been, some of them have been like changed and modified, and other ones are like, a lot of ones are brand new. Gondor and Rohan are separate now, which is honestly great. They, so far in my experience, all of the races have very much their own identities, and they all play very differently. And so that's been very interesting. Gondor and Rohan are very, very different now. They are very, very good. Like Rohan, you can build lots of, like, a lot of your buildings will give you money, and it's very fascinating, and you'll see how all the races feel as we will do random battles. The random battle that will follow this video at some point was with Gondor, so if memory serves. So for now, going forward, I might just go straight down the list until we've done at least one battle with every race, and then that will be, and then we'll probably randomly choose who I want to play. And then Rohan, as you would obviously imagine, has lots of great cavalry, very, very strong cavalry. Their harass game can be really good because you can just be running around with cavalry. It's very, very powerful. A lot of the balancing is also very different. Heroes have moved around as far as where they are and what they can do. So, like, for instance, in Rohan, like, Theoden is the top hero now. He's not just like this 1,000 gold cheap throwaway cavalry hero. He's the top hero in Rohan. He's like several thousand gold. So and then in Gondor, like Faramir and Boromir are like slots 3 and 2 respectively, I believe, of the overall heroes, and Gandalf is the top one. And there's a lot of new stuff. Very excited. Erebor is of course your dwarven faction. It's really in some ways 2 dwarven factions in one, because right away your fortress will there'll be options, and your fortress, well, you can either choose the dwarves under Thorin Oakenshield, or there's another one. Maybe the other one is King Dane, possibly. But the one under Thorin is going to be the movie stuff. And so now there's also, I think, maybe some buildings that are like, or like units within the buildings that you can construct that are like the portraits and the voice lines from the movies, and the other ones are not. The other ones are like much more book oriented, lore oriented, and not related to the movies. And so I haven't done too much exploring yet with how different those two seem, but I've done battles with each side, so I know that at least all of the heroes change, which is very fascinating. There are 3 elvish factions. You have Lothlorien, Rivendell, and the Woodland Realms, each with the respective heroes that you would imagine, and probably many that you don't know about. And they all have very different identities. Like Lothlorien, you go really heavy with trees. Like, if memory serves, they're all of your buildings are trees, and it's very fascinating how it all works. All very, very cool. Mordor and Isengard, obviously both the same as far as what they were, but they've lots of changes and updates. Misty Mountains is your Goblin faction, and they are very much the Goblin faction. You'll have, of course, your spiders, and I think there are some spiders, but anyway, because there's so much change, it's hard to keep track of it all. But Misty Mountains is going to be basically your Goblin faction. Dol Guldur is interesting. That is under the Necromancer, also very Hobbit movie oriented. The Hobbit movies oriented. They're very fascinating because they're almost a Zerg-esque faction. Because their builders they'll build one building and then they'll die, and so then you have to build more builders, but the builders are much cheaper, and your units decay if they're too far from certain units, certain heroes, or the buildings that you construct. But their bases can be really tough to kill because there's certain buildings that will build wights and like skeletons and things, and so it can make it really difficult to take their bases. They're very fascinating. Very fascinating faction, kind of hard to play, to be honest. They're a little difficult to play, but it's mostly their play style is just very different than a lot of other factions that you'll play, and so it makes you kind of have to play differently, which is very fascinating. And then you have Herod Waith, which is kind of a mouthful to pronounce for me. But Herod Waith is very fascinating too. They are the Evil Men faction, and they have a massive variety of units. They have lots of tribesmen and the Mumakil and lots of other creatures. They have giant scorpions and like giant orangutans and all kinds of things. And so Herod Waith is the Evil Men faction, and they have a lot of units. They have all of the Black Numenorians are all within Herod Waith, and so that's kind of cool to see them kind of show up, which is neato. So lots of factions, as you can see, there are quite a few now. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's now 11 factions now, so that's quite interesting. Heroes-wise, there are lots of new heroes, but within the custom heroes, there's some new powers, and for certain hero types, there's all new powers. And there are some new hero, presets as well, like things that you can, like different classes and stuff. So for the most part, for some heroes, I tried to just remake what we're used to. Gideon the Corruptor, of course, the wizard that is all about converting enemies with some good damage spells and his ability to teleport away and stuff. Nothing crazy there. Alric Lightbringer, this is the good wizard, so to speak. Mostly, light-based stuff. Good lightning with the light blast and Wizard Blast, and of course Blink, because it's like a must, being some of his best stuff. I, of course, remade Blair Firebolt. She's obviously the Archer Specialist, and she is incredible. I've used her quite a few times, obviously the most already within the heroes. I've made some other ones because there's new armors and things within the heroes, and because there's so many factions, I've tried to make more heroes to suit more things you can do. But I have Bard and Iron Blood, and I just built my standard dwarf stuff. Toughness, Axe Throw, Bombard, Leap, nothing crazy. Ard the Elf Smasher, just kind of a good brawler, He's not bad. He's not going to solo an army on his own, but he's not bad. Then we have a new one, Grak the Slaughterer. He is a Gundabad Berserker. He has Berserker Rage, Leap, Earthshaker, and Spire Fear, which is a very interesting kind of move set. But I haven't used him almost at all. I used him a little bit in one very insane battle, but he's interesting. Kel the Silent Step, which is a Ranger of the North. He is basically the exact same, pretty much, not even pretty much. He is exactly the same as Blair Firebolt, except he has some stealth, and I don't think Blair has stealth. She does not. So Kel the Silent Step, he is the same thing Blair is, he's just with a little bit of stealth thrown in. He's very interesting. I almost think he might outrange Blair. Yeah, Blair, he has one more vision than Blair does. Oh, but so that's why he traded the armor for vision. So, which honestly I could tweak, and I could reduce Blair's armor for more vision or something. Because I think I've noticed that Kel might have a farther range than she does. Anyway, but then I have Erica Horsemaster, nothing crazy. She's just my standard cavalry hero. Supposed to be a little bit on the cheaper side, but I can't get any hero to be below anything below 2,000. So, anyway. Oh, hey, there we go. One below 2,000. And then I have Gaz Vileblood. Kind of just the bad guy archer, more or less. He's just mostly the bad guy archer, but he has a couple of little things like climb walls, which is almost never useful, but I always want it to be useful. The train ally is very good, but he has mostly a lot of stealth and then toggle weapon, leadership, so he's mostly the bad guy archer. It's okay, but, you know, Easterling. Kazim, the Ancient One, he's another one of my new ones. He's a White Lord, Mound Dweller, specifically. And it's very interesting. All new powers, so it's very wild. So targeted enemy unit takes damage and is knocked back. Damage dealt is drained, healing the caster for a small amount. So he can heal himself by dealing damage. Nearby enemy units are slowed passively in a small radius. I thought that was very good because you could help slow them down. And if memory serves, he's kind of slow, so that is very useful. But then I had Withering Touch, which is nearby units take moderate damage over time, affects both enemies and allies. Good and evil near him will take damage. So honestly, he's kind of better on his own, or at least not near. Not near allies, because if you put him in the blob of your own guys, you're gonna slowly kill your own dudes. I gave him Incorporeal. The White Lord becomes incorporeal, allowing them to move quickly across the map while terrifying nearby enemy units, but he cannot attack. And then nearby units take strong damage over time, and really what I gave him was he's like really all in on slowing enemies near him passively and then doing damage over time. So my idea was he'd be good just to take on lots of chaff kind of things. He's very slow, his stats are not incredible, and so he's been a little bit awkward to use. And at the time I probably didn't notice that it said affects both enemies and allies, and so I probably didn't notice that it affected allies, but later on I was like, oh. Anyway, so there's lots of new heroes, which is very fascinating. Lots of new stuff with this, but the mod is very fun. I have done a lot of battles. There's also other weird things. There's like a single player mode, but I can't seem to get a lot of these ones to work very well. I haven't tried this one, but I did click on one of these other ones, like Durance Folk, maybe. I clicked on this one, and I did it, and I was like, I clicked on Area Bore, and I did all the things, but nothing seemed to happen, so I don't know if if this is supposed to be like a story thing, or are these adventure maps just like, you know, I don't know. If it's not like that, you know, is there supposed to be like a story here, or what? So I don't seem to understand how these work. Maybe I'm overthinking it and they're just meant for battles, you know, like maybe you're not supposed to do anything. Like, I don't know why I would tell you, you know, human player Gondor, you know, if like it doesn't do anything special. So I don't seem to understand how that works very well. But overall, the mod's amazing. Something else that the mod does is it seems to have revamped the AI a little bit. The AI does a lot of things very differently. For one, of course, they're more likely to use powers, which is great. But the biggest thing and the most useful thing is the fact that normally in the old game, enemies like would run past your units to get to your buildings. Like, they obviously had an attack order on your farms or whatever, and they would run past your units or through your units to get to their objective. And so it was like playing tower defense, like a lot of the time, you know, and your enemies are running past you, and it was very annoying because even when you're going into their base, they'll build units, the unit will run past your army towards your base, and half your army turns around and follows him, and so you have to babysit your army to ignore the one unit of cheap spearmen that ran past your upgraded army to get to your base. And you're like, I have like 45 towers in my base. I don't care about this one weak spearman. Ignore them. The AI, they do that a lot less, and it's not nearly as egregious across the board. Now, if you're approaching their base with an army, they build units, they're gonna attack you. They're gonna attack your units. They're gonna defend themselves. If you're like in the middle of no man's land and you're in between bases or in the middle of nowhere, they see you, they're probably gonna attack you. The AI is much smarter. They're much more likely to engage you and build armies and like not just go after your infrastructure, you know, not just go for your money-making buildings and then ignore your units. Now they will attack your units if they're out in front. And it makes it a lot more fun because it makes you feel like you're doing a real battle. Now, in a lot of ways, it's made the AI more challenging because now you're really having to defend yourself against like armies, and if you run units into choke point, you know, like they're gonna attack all your heroes in that choke point, you know, as they run past, and they're not just gonna ignore you, you know. And so in a lot of ways, it's made the AI more challenging, but overall, it's just a lot more fun. A little balancing change that's been quite nice is heroes do not cost command points anymore. So they cost gold, but no longer command points. That's actually super, super nice, because now if you want to build all the heroes, you can absolutely do that. And historically, I would never grab more than 3 heroes per army, because you're gonna take command points away from your army, and your army is gonna be smaller. And heroes are often good, but if they have enough defenses, heroes probably can't solo a whole base. Now, on some factions, they just can, but generally speaking, you probably shouldn't. And I don't know, it often, it was a whole thing, so there was a balancing act between heroes and armies. Well, now they do not cost command points, and it's really nice, because you can build up a whole bunch of heroes, or all the heroes, and then still build your giant army, and it's just fine, and it just works, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been super cool. So anyway, but yeah, that is the Age of the Ring mod. You'll definitely be seeing random battles at some point after this video, maybe at the same day this video is uploaded. There will be a random battle going up, the first on my channel. And then in subsequent, you know, as time goes on, there will be more random battles. Nothing consistent, obviously, but they'll definitely return. Now, at some point, I don't know if we'll ever do the Lord of the Rings story mode, like campaign-wise, but mostly because this game is difficult. It's fun, but really, it can be hard, and I'm really worried the campaign's going to be difficult, because this Battle of Moria is freaking impossible. And so, but War of the Ring definitely might make a showing, because the only instance of War of the Ring I have on my channel is not good. And so I would love to return to War of the Ring. At some point, I will probably check it out first myself to see what it's like before I would blindly jump in on the channel. But it seems also like the online mode might just be working. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but I've seen there's a YouTuber that I follow named Turin. If you guys are curious to watch for lots of Total War content, and he has recently started streaming this game, which was really cool for me because I've been following him for years and I didn't know he knew what this game was. And so all of a sudden he posted this, and that's how I heard about the mod. And so with that in mind, I jumped in there and I started checking that out because they were super, super cool. But really looking forward to more random battles being on the channel, and this way I can edit out that beginning section of that first battle, which will make that video much better. And yeah, I can't wait to do more random battles on the channel. So anyway, that is going to call for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later. Oh, did I just collateral that guy? Yeet. There, you go first. He's like, I think it's clear, man. You're good. As the great Bob Ross would say, what a happy accident. Later, idiots. I could hear Darth Vader in my head. I have you now. No, walk it off, bro. You're okay. It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up. That was so perfect.